Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Aim Saraswate Namaha. Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Om. Blessed Self, adorations, divine blessings, love, light, healing, bliss, prosperity, lots of auspiciousness to each one of you and your near and dear ones. Our humble Sashtang pranams at the holy lotus feet of Pujya Gurudev, Pujya Shri Swami Jyotirmayananda Ji Maharaj, Pujya Param Gurudev, Pujya Shri Swami Sivananda Ji Maharaj, Jagat Guru, the world teacher, Shri Adi Shankaracharya Ji, our humble Sashtang pranams. And pranams to all saints and sages of the entire world. Today is day 21 of Satsanga on 4 Gatekeepers at the Palace of Liberation by Pujya Gurudev, Pujya Shri Swami Jyotirmayananda Ji Maharaj of Yoga Research Foundation, Miami, Florida. So the last Satsanga, the last topic was on the eternal diamond. Throughout the spiritual literature of India, Satsang has been given the greatest importance. Tulsi Das Ji says, if you were to put all the happiness of heaven and earth on one side of a scale and then bundle the happiness from Satsanga on the other side, the joy of Satsanga would far outweigh all the happiness of heaven and earth. The first bundle is bulky, yet insubstantial like cotton. And then Satsanga, on the other hand, is like diamond, dense, strong, and eternal. So you can contemplate on this. Imagine the scale on two sides, and you have cotton on one side. It's so bulky, and yet it is very light by weight. And that is what the worldly stuff is like. Whereas the other side of the scale is Satsanga, which is like the diamond. Even a small piece is dense, it's strong, it's heavy, and it's eternal, whereas cotton can burn up so quickly. So, the earthly joy is like cotton, whereas the joy of Satsanga, the bliss of Satsanga, is like diamond. So today the topic is the transforming power of Satsanga. So this is another interesting topic, and how Satsanga can transform each one of us. When we have faith, we learn. So as I always say or advise, to attend Satsanga, if not, then read your scriptures, because that is also Satsanga. If not, then listen to Satsanga online, or any Satsanga you can get hold of as a recording. There is a lot available on YouTube, and like this Satsanga recording, you can share with others, and this is how you can learn Here, take the essence of it, contemplate on it, meditate on it, and apply it in your lives without any confusion, without any doubt. So the parable of the topic for today, the transforming power of satsanga. Once upon a time, sage Narad became eager to hear about the glory of satsang. Since there is no greater authority on satsang than Lord Vishnu, and since Narad had access to him, why should he look anywhere else? He waited and eventually was able to come face to face with Vishnuji. That's Lord Vishnu. He asked Lord Vishnu if he would expound the glory of satsang for him. Lord Vishnu said that he was too busy at the moment, unfortunately, to give such a serious matter an adequate reply. So Lord Vishnu said that he was too busy at that moment. Unfortunately, he was busy. He was busy to give such a serious matter an adequate reply. So he needed more time to give such a deep answer. However, he told Narad to go into the forest and find a certain squirrel on a giant tree that would tell him the glory of satsang. How beautiful. So Narad was puzzled. He wondered how a squirrel could tell him about such a subject. However, since you cannot argue with God, Narad followed Lord Vishnu's instructions and went to the forest. It was early morning. The mist had lifted and the rays of the sun had warmed up the forest. A little squirrel was there on the tree, jumping up and down, cracking nuts. Narad looked up and asked the squirrel if he had a moment. The squirrel stopped and looked at Narad. Narad said that he would like to know the glory of satsang. The squirrel gazed intently. The bewildered Narad asked that question, and the squirrel gazed intently. What was that? So the bewildered Narad stared back into the squirrel's eyes, which themselves had stopped blinking. As it would happen, the squirrel fell dead from the tree, shocking Narad, who was sympathetic towards the tender little creature. He returned to Vishnu and said, "O Lord, I could not get the teaching about satsang from the squirrel. Lord Vishnu responded, "I still do not have time to give you any teaching. But please return to that same tree. This time you will find a monkey who will relay to you the glory of satsang." Narad was not enthusiastic about being taught by a monkey. Nevertheless, he again went to that particular tree in the forest, looked up and saw a monkey playfully bouncing from the branch to branch and making strange sounds. Narad told the monkey he had been sent by Lord Vishnu to ask him about the glory of satsang. The monkey at once became very calm and serious. All his limbs became relaxed. Narad eagerly awaited what the monkey had to tell him. Suddenly, the lifeless body of the monkey fell next to him. Alas! Narad's heart began to race. Again he returned and waited for an occasion to meet Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu advised Narad to go to a certain country where a prince was recently born to the royal family. There he was to ask that newborn child to tell him the glory of satsang. It was bad enough when the little creatures of the forest died, but it would be terrible if the prince were to pass on when Narad asked him about satsang. However, Narad had to follow Vishnu's instructions. Upon reaching the palace, the king was very pleased to see Narad and asked him to confer his blessings on the newborn child. Narad said that was the purpose of his visit, but he had to be alone with the child. The king agreed. Finding the newborn prince alone, Narad came close to the child and told him with trembling heart that Lord Vishnu had sent him to learn about the glory of satsanga. The child's eyes became still. His body became still. Narad's heart nearly stopped. Suddenly the child began to speak, asking Narad if he was blind to not notice that it was by his satsang that the squirrel left its embodiment to become a monkey, and its monkey embodiment to become a prince. The child said that he was the squirrel, the monkey, and now the royal prince, all due to Narada's satsanga. The subtle meaning behind this story applies to everyone. In every personality, there is a squirrel that hoards and cracks nuts. When you practice satsang, that squirrel dies. The aspect of your personality that accumulates and stores anger, hate, greed, irrational tensions, and fear fades when you enter satsang. That is the destruction of mala, the gross obstacles. The next obstacle you face is vikshepa. Vikshepa is distraction. So, vikshepa means distraction. And do you remember what we had talked about? The other three? The three knots of the heart? Or the granthis, the three granthis or knots of the heart? Remember, the first one was avidya, which is ignorance. And that ignorance chains you to your causal body. And that this ignorance is the bondage or the knot created between you and your causal body. And then the second one we talked about was kama. Kama is desire. Because of ignorance, or wherever there is ignorance, there is desire. And as an individual, as a fictitious I, you are imperfect. And your desire continues to affect your astral body, which is the senses. It keeps demanding this, that. The sense of wanting to see the beauty of the world, and hearing, tasting, and other sense pleasures of the skin. Wanting to smell good things. It keeps taking you to the enjoyment of senses because of your desires, and never stops wanting more and more and more. And then those desires brings to karma. Those kama granthi brings in to karma granthi, the physical body. So from causal to astral to physical brings down to physical level, where because of your desires you end up wanting to do certain things, and which creates karmas, the three fetters which binds the soul, because the karma leads you to good and bad actions. So those were the three, and now we are talking about what is it that we are talking about? We are talking about vikshepa, distraction. Then the obstacle that you face is vikshepa or distraction. Distraction is the monkey state. The moment you destroy the lowest squirrel aspect of your personality, you discover that the mind has a lot of energy, jumping constantly and swinging like a monkey from branch to branch. However, the force of satsanga overcomes that distraction also, and that brings to purity, sattva that fills the mind. Through that purified mind, you realize you are not an individual dependent on objects. You are the ruler of all that exists, the emperor of emperors. So, from a squirrel-like personality, cracking nuts, led by satsanga, you attain a princely personality. So from squirrel to monkey-like, and then to princely, like being born in human form, and not only in human form in any household, but in a king's house, higher level. So this is the beauty of satsanga. What treasure satsanga holds. So satsanga is the most potent remedy for all troubles that assail human beings. Poverty, disease, calamities, and death. All these invade the mind. When you nourish it, however you nourish it with the nectar of satsanga, when the mind has envisioned the eternity of the self, then sorrow disappears. The sorrowful world becomes a dream. Calamities become like clouds that cannot hurt the sky. Starting now, vow to take this potent remedy of satsanga every day. Remember, we say a little dose every day. It's not about sitting, doing japa and satsanga for 2 hours one day and nothing on another day, and 5 minutes on another day, and nothing on another day, 10 minutes another day. So that is not good. Start off with smaller time. Budget your time. Just know how much you may be able to do the best. So 10 to 15 minutes, but be consistent every day. And then after that, you may some days increase, but do not go below your set standard time. So that's how you should budget your time for your spiritual progress. Will be very good if you do that. So starting now, vow to take this potent remedy of satsanga every day and discover how its miraculous healing powers can change your life forever. So those of you who are practicing, who are listening to satsanga every day, if it's not a new one, you can always repeat the previous one or prior sessions just to recap on it, and do not miss it. Every day little bit, every day little bit. And those of you who are already doing that, I am sure you have noticed the difference, the change, the progress in your spiritual life, progress in your other worldly life, work life, family life, your joy from within. I would appreciate if some of you can share that with me and tell me your experiences. It would be nice to hear from you. In few words at least. There are quite a few of you who already share with me, and others, if you are listening, it would be nice if you can also contact and share. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's pray for all. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiyo Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiye Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiyo Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiye Mamritat. Om Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Prantakleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Asato Ma Sadagamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Evavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayana. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Ramachandraya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Ramachandraya. Om 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 Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari 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 Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari 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 Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari 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 Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari 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 Om. Shakti, Bhakti, Mukti. Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This is Swami Lalita Priyananda, Sacramento, California. Divine Love Light, Healing Bliss Prosperity. Hari Om Tat Sat.